TupiTuber, do you know how to add a background to your animation exercises? In this TupiTube, I'll explain it to you in detail. Join me! Hi, I'm Julie, your animation buddy on the TupiTube channel. And in this video, I'll show you how to create and use backgrounds. Since this topic is quite expansive, we'll split it into two parts. Let's start with the first one. In the world of animation, backgrounds are typically images of landscapes or settings that provide context and atmosphere to the object or character being animated. A background can communicate information about the era, location, weather, or time of the day of a scene. Additionally, backgrounds are available when animating as they help define position, movement, and the boundaries within which the scene unfolds.
It's important to know that for our exercises, we'll work with two types of backgrounds, static and dynamic. Static backgrounds are images placed behind the scene that, as the name suggests, do not move during the animation. While they don't add any dynamism to the exercise, they help provide depth and identity to the scene setting. A background can even convey an emotion before any action takes place. For example, a sunny, lush landscape might evocate a sense of joy, while a dark, cloudy background with an ancient, ruined castle might inspire fear. Additionally, the design of the background can define the camera's position or the viewer's perspective in the animation. For instance, a background might place the viewer on the edge of a cliff, in the middle of train tracks, or looking up at the sky. The possibilities are endless, which is why choosing the right background for your exercises is crucial. To do so, ask yourself, what context do I want to create? What emotions do I want to convey? Since our first animation exercises are quite simple, we'll start by designing basic settings. However, as we advance, our background design choices will become increasingly important. Now that we've covered static backgrounds, what about dynamic backgrounds? As the name also implies, these ones move during the scene. They create the effect of the viewer also being in motion and can be used in countless contexts. For example, to show that a vehicle is moving, whether a car, a boat, or a plane. Generally, the background moves from right to left or left to right. However, it's also possible to create up and down movements, simulating situations like a paracatus falling endlessly or a rocket ascending as it takes off. Now that we've covered the basics, let's explore the background options available in TupiTube's interface. To do so, we'll open the application and create a new project, as we usually do in our sessions. Before starting, let's look at the mode setting option located in the horizontal toolbar above the workspace. The mode setting is a drop-down menu and the first item on the left of the bar. As you can see, it has many options, 6 in total. But before diving into these modes, it's important to define two concepts that we'll use in future exercises: vector graphics and raster graphics. In computer graphics, two techniques allow us to draw on the screen and save these drawings as image files. Vector graphics translate every stroke into a set of numerical parameters, similar to an equation for each element added to an illustration. They maintain high resolution regardless of scaling and can be edited through nodes, as we've done in previous exercises. The most common open format for saving vector graphics is SVG. Raster graphics, on the other hand, are created using the pixels or points that make up the computer screen. A raster image is stored as a grid map where each element contains the position and color of every pixel. Raster strokes offer a wide range of textures, much like a real-world brush, which makes the variety of raster brushes vast compared to the vector ones. However, scaling up a raster image results in a loss of definition, commonly known as pixelation. Popular formats for storing raster files include JPG and PNG. Now let's return to TupiTube's mode setting. The first mode is Frames mode, enabled by default whenever you start a new project. Its main purpose is to allow animation. This mode provides access to the exposure sheet and timeline, where you can add frames, layers, and scenes to your exercises. Interestingly, we've been working in this mode since the first TupiTube, even without explicitly mentioning it. The second mode is a static vector background, which allows adding non-moving backgrounds to your scenes. This is likely the mode we'll use more frequently in upcoming exercises due to its simplicity, which helps develop our background design skills. Think of this mode as a canvas for drawing a landscape that will serve as the backdrop for each frame of your exercise. The third mode is Dynamic Vector Background, which enables creating moving landscapes. While the drawing process is the same as the static mode, dynamic backgrounds require defining additional parameters like direction, speed, and opacity. We'll discuss this in more detail in the next TupiTube. The fourth mode is a static raster background, similar to the static vector background but limited to raster tools like a raster pencil and eraser. However, this mode offers a wide range of brush textures, allowing you to create backgrounds resembling real-world painted canvases. The fifth mode is Dynamic Raster Background, which also creates moving backgrounds but uses the raster pencil and brushes, as in the previous mode. The sixth and final mode is Vector Foreground Mode, similar to the static vector background but with elements always placed in front of everything else in the scene. This layer remains on top of all others, making it useful for special occasions we'll explore in future sessions. As you can see, the options for building backgrounds are varied, especially since you can use all these types in a single scene. For this session's exercise, we'll focus only on the static vector mode, option number 2. Of course, future TupiTubes will gradually introduce more complexity. Now it's time to practice using a static background. We'll revisit the paper airplane animation from the last session. First, open TupiTube, load the source file we created last week, and press enter to play the animation and review the scene. Take a moment to unleash your imagination and visualize the background for your animation. Any ideas? I have two! The plane could fly past a street lined with buildings or through the clouds. Which one do you prefer? Let me know in the comments. For now, I'll go with the second option, clouds. Press enter to return to the animation tab and navigate to the mode setting menu. Select static vector background. Now we have a blank canvas to design our background. Use a digital pen if you have one to draw naturally. Otherwise, a regular mouse works fine with the line tool, as we've done in past TupiTubes. Before starting, don't forget to select your colors and line settings. For the clouds, I'll use gray for the outlines, white for the fill, and a brush thickness of 3. With the line tool active, I'll draw polygons on the canvas and then use the node editor to adjust the shapes, making them look like fluffy cotton clouds. As you progress with your illustration, don't forget to check the scene in the player to ensure that your background design fits the scene you're animating. Remember that with the node editor, you can add or remove new line segments if you need them while editing each of the clouds. In fact, I'll add clouds of various sizes to make my background look much more interesting. If you want to review the different commands that let you edit the nodes of a figure, I recommend checking out TupiTube number 7, where we give a very detailed explanation of it. I'll leave the link here and in the video description. To make my design even more interesting, I'll add some fragments of clouds around the edges of the canvas. And as a final touch, I'll add shadows to some of the clouds, using the opacity parameter we learned to use in the Halloween special. To do this, I go to the color palette and choose the transparent color for the stroke. As for the fill, I select black and set the transparency value to 20. And that's it! I can now start adding the final details, which are small gray clouds within the white clouds. Once the background is finished, I go back to the Mode Settings control and select the first option, Frame Editing. All done! It's time to review the final result. What do you think? I must admit, I was surprised. I think it's amazing how much an animation exercise can change just by adding a background. It looks great! And as usual, let's save this exercise in our projects folder. I'll call this file Playing with Background. Finally, I'll share it in our community page in case you want to download it and take a look.
TupiTubers, we've completed our first animation exercise using a background. If you notice, with each new TupiTube, we're learning new tricks and achieving increasingly interesting results. Remember, this is just the first part of this series. In our next session, we'll create a much more elaborate exercise using both a static background and a dynamic background at the same time. Don't miss it! Thank you so much for making it to the end of this content. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and leave a comment below and share this post with all your friends. That way you support my work. TupiTubers, see you in the next video. Stay tuned!